Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. In this week's news, OMS raises nearly $8,000 for cancer, and the Sheriff's Office adopts a local veteran.
Stay tuned. Learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. There's a lot going on next week, so if you're looking for something to go and something to do, we've got you covered. On Wednesday, January 8th, the Oxford Township Board of Trustees will conduct its first meeting of 2020. And on Friday, January 10th, the Oxford Public Library will host a celebration to kick off its special exhibit, Celebration of Abundance, Michigan Farming. The exhibit will showcase the Oxford Metamora area's deep agricultural roots with its rich equestrian traditions. There will be live music and finger foods, and please RSVP by calling 248-628-3034, extension 233.
The Oxford Chamber of Commerce is offering a fantastic opportunity to break bread with your local officials and hear directly from them what's happening in the community and what's on the horizon. On February 20th, 2020, the Chamber will kick off their speaker series by hosting Charter Township Trustee Jack Curtis, who also represents the Township and Village Planning Commissions and chairs the Water and Sewer Committee. Jack will be joined by Oxford Village Manager Joe Medore and the Oxford Downtown Development Authority Executive Director Glenn Pape. Together, this trio should be able to provide residents and business owners with a complete picture of everything Oxford. Listen, ask questions, and be prepared to learn more about your community. The event will be held at Independence Village, 8 a.m. on February 20th.
Michigan State Senator Rosemary will attend the Wednesday, January 8th meeting of the Oxford Township Board of Trustees. Meet her face-to-face and get the latest word from Lansing. Meeting starts at 6:30 p.m. at the Oxford Township Hall, Dunlop Road. You won't want to miss this opportunity. Be there.
Oxford Middle School students raised nearly $8,000 for the American Cancer Society through its annual Week of Giving Penny Wars fundraiser. During the fundraiser, the OMS advisory classes are paired with team alliances to compete in two categories, total donations and total points. Jason Caddy and Josh Smokovitz's advisory classes won first place for total donations of $1,700. This was the second year in a row the Caddy-Smokovitz Alliance won. Last year, as a gimmick, they promised if their classes won, they would spend the entire night camped out on the OMS roof in January, and they did it, and they broadcasted the entire event live on YouTube. The video now has over 125,000 views. They plan to do it again on January 16th. Students voted to donate this money this year to the American Cancer Society, which funds scientific research into causes and treatment of cancer.
The Michigan Department of Treasury is warning folks to be aware of a classic scam which is being carried out via the post office. Michigan taxpayers with past due tax debts should be aware of the aggressive scam in which the taxpayers receive what appears to be a government-looking document addressing an overdue tax bill. It asks individuals to immediately contact a toll-free number to resolve the state tax debt. The letter aggressively threatens to seize a taxpayer's assets, including property and Social Security benefits, if the state tax debt is not settled. To learn more about Michigan's tax and the collections process, go to www.michigan.gov/taxes or follow the State Treasury Department on Twitter at my.treasury.
After returning to her home on Hurd Road in Brandon Township, which is an Oxford mailing address, late during the night last month, Gail Lovely was on her way to get the mail in her husband's golf cart, but it broke down. It was late, so she decided to leave it in the driveway until the morning, but when she went back the next day, the cart was gone. A 75-year-old Vietnam War Army veteran and survivor of 3 different cancers, Gerald Lovely, is now battling lung cancer and is on oxygen 24 hours a day. That cart provided mobility and a small sense of freedom for him because with that cart he was able to do minor chores or simply drive around the property to get out of the house for a few minutes. While the family does not want to press charges, they do want that golf cart back. If anyone knows what happened to it or who took the cart, contact the Oakland County Sheriff Department. The case is still under investigation.
Speaking of veterans, Oakland County Sheriff's Office donated holiday presents to a veteran and his large family just before Christmas on December 20th at the Oxford Township substation. Every year the Sheriff's Office adopts a veteran in need in Oakland County through its Adopt a Veterans Family at Christmas program. The Sheriff's Office Community Liaison Amanda Ford explained, the family is chosen based on a recommendation from the Department of Veterans Affairs. This year's veteran, Daniel, who wishes not to share his last name, recently moved to the area and has 100% disability status. He joined the United States Marine Corps in 2002 and served for 15 years until 2017. Daniel has been awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, Combat Action Ribbon, Presidential Unit Citation, Navy Meritorious Unit Commendation, Marine Corps Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Afghanistan Campaign Medal with 1 star, and Iraq Campaign Medal with 3 stars, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, and Global War on Terrorism Service Medal. For his service, the Oxford community thanks you.
This week, the Oakland County Health Division confirms rabies in a skunk found in West Bloomfield. The medical doctor for Oakland County, Dr. Faust, suggests due to the unusually warm December temperatures, there could be increased wild animal activity, and all residents should avoid contact with any stray, wild, or dead animals in your area. He also suggests to supervise your pets when they're outdoors. Do not leave food or water outside for your pet. Avoid contact with skunks, bats, raccoons, fox, and stray cats or dogs. He also suggested to keep your pets protected by getting them vaccinated. For more information about rabies, go to www.oakgov.com/health.
James Hamlin is excited to join the Oxford Leader as a staff writer. He will cover Oxford Village and general assignments. James grew up in Anchorage, Alaska, in a small town in Arizona. After graduating from Arizona State University, he spent 3 years teaching English and writing for a nonprofit in a Japanese village. So he's no stranger to small communities. He is charmed by the village old-fashioned Main Street and township's woody backwoods and lakes. He joined the Leader at the beginning of December. Welcome on board.
Well, welcome, Jim. I'm telling you, that's a tough one for the 3 brand new reporters there, including our Danielle Smith. They've kind of had a rough go since CJ got hired at the township, but it's nice that he's getting attention for the township. CJ is, anyhow.
Right. Well, they haven't really had a large rotation, I don't think, in a number of years. Unlike us, we have a revolving door where people move on to larger TV stations.
Yeah, we're proud to say that.
Yes.
As people move on. We've got some people here that have been here a long time, and then others that just do so well while they're here. And I think we should pat ourselves on the back for that they're able to move on quickly. I think River will be another one to move on quickly.
I like to think of us as the stables.
They move on through.
Right.
We have a new person here too. You might see him around at meetings maybe. His name is Stephen Bauer, and we hope to get him on camera and doing a lot more stuff.
He has a great background before he came to our station, so we do look for some pretty good things coming from him.
We're lucky. We've gotten some pretty good kids in here, and I shouldn't call them kids, but to me they are.
Well, a lot of them move on to NBC, ABC affiliates. So.
And there's good things happening in employment, that's for sure. You know, they've not had any problem getting employment, but also we talked about the 2020 census. That's coming up, and they really need response. Oakland County really needs a response as far as employment is concerned from Oxford and Addison. Apparently they have to have so many people from every community applying to work for them, which is really cool. They're hiring a lot of people. It's certainly temporary employment, but I'll tell you what, they're making good money.
Yes, they are.
I saw those wages, and they're making more than any of us can see.
That's for sure. And the thing is, though, it's a part-time job.
Yeah.
And you can pretty much call your own hours if you're doing this, you know, the surveys.
The walking around part. But they also need office help.
They do.
Yeah.
So if you're good at accounting, that kind of thing, they're looking for accountants as well.
Right.
That's more of a longer running job probably than what the surveyors
probably
are.
Beyond the surveys itself, which is really nice. The office is not that far. It's in Troy at the Somerset Mall area. Across the street there's an old Kmart headquarters building, and that's where the office is, and they need office staff there. And then again, they need surveyors, which is really neat. If you want to do your own area, that would be really cool.
I think if they go to michigan.gov and check out the census, you'll find the information.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's also workshops to be held within this area.
That's right. They're having one at the library.
Yes. I believe the first one is going to be on the 7th of January. Don't quote me on that.
I'm not really sure. Check with the Oxford Library, or also go to that 2020 census website. Oak.gov, I think is how you have to look it up.
And I was talking to a government representative for the census, and he was indicating that more than likely for their training they would use the building here at Seymour Lake Parks and Rec.
Oh, that's really cool.
He said it's a perfect setup and perfect location.
Oh, so they
for
want
what
a
they
handful of people.
Yes, they do.
Oxford area and Addison area, so you have to be over 18. If you have an 18-year-old that's kind of saying, I don't have a job yet, Mom, you get them out there to the 2020 census.
Great opportunity, great pay. I gotta
Sure
tell you.
is. It's really good pay, way more than I make. And that's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories and others, pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper. Better yet, you can catch us on our website, OCCTV.org, or on YouTube, and of course our regular cable channel, Spectrum Channel 191 and AT&T Channel 99.
Coming up soon, OCTV's very own Cody Wright with school sports, school news, incorporating great topics with River Tuck, and you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Terry Stiles. Thanks for watching Oxford News this week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Hello Oxford and hello 2020. My name is River Tuck and I am very excited to bring you the first school news of 2020. Just sounds weird saying it, doesn't it? This year is off to a great start. Just last Thursday, OCTV headed out to Camp Echo Grove out in London to speak with Key of Hope founders and Key of Hope choir members. If you don't know, Key of Hope is an international nonprofit run in the worst AIDS-affected area in the world, Durban, South Africa. The cause was founded by Dan and Rachel Smither after working 10 years with the Power Company Kids Club in the Detroit area. The Key of Hope program has grown immensely since its start in 2007 and now operates with a staff of 25, ministering in over a dozen different slums with almost 2,000 children being visited at home each week. The program has many different forms of outreach, including home visits, school fees, assistance, feeding programs, leadership development, and the Key of Hope Choir. The Key of Hope group even helps children and families obtain important documents like birth certificates, passports, and many official documents otherwise difficult to obtain. Because of all of that great work, the Key of Hope Choir now has the ability to tour the U.S. spreading their message of hope and has been doing so since 2013. I had the chance to speak with those choir members from Durban, South Africa about what Key of Hope is to them. Take a look. you say Key of Hope gave you one mission in life, what would that be?
To serve God, to serve like the kids. I want like the kids to follow me. I want to set a good example at all times.
What an outstandingly gifted young group. We are all so proud here at OCTV, and truly all of Oxford is proud of what Dan and Rachel Smither are doing through Key of Hope. If you would like to help in any way, please reach out by email to info@keyofhope.org. That is info@keyofhope.org, which you can also do through the Key of Hope website. More from the Key of Hope group can be seen on the next Schooling Around out next week. To keep with the theme of volunteering and giving back to start off the decade, the Charter Township of Oxford, which is @TownshipOxford on Twitter, came up with a great list of ways you can start off 2020 volunteering your time or the whole family's time through programs in and around Oxford to make this the year of the volunteer right here in Oxford. Volunteer to stock shelves at the Oxford Orion Fish Food Pantry, care for dogs at the Canine Stray Rescue League's kennel facility, answer phones for Love Inc. of North Oakland County, or become a mentor for Oxford Addison Youth Assistance. All of these are great ways to kindle that volunteering flame here in Oxford and are only a few of the many ways to volunteer in Oxford that I will be checking out in our next Schooling Around episode, where I will take a closer look into what volunteering in Oxford looks like. There is a calendar full of things to do this month of January, but let's start off with this week. This Tuesday the 7th, there is a Board of Education meeting at Lakeville Elementary starting at 6:30. There is also a IB Diploma Program information night for parents that night to help parents better understand what the IB program is. Day after that, Wednesday the 8th, there is a Lakeville PSC meeting at 4, as well as a Leonard PTO meeting at 7:30. Something for our artistically inclined viewers, the 2020 No Has poster contest, that's No H-A-Z. The deadline for that contest is January 31st, and the contest is open to 4th and 5th grade students in public, private, home, and charter schools located in Oakland County. The poster artwork and headline should promote the proper disposal of household hazardous waste. The poster artwork must be hand-drawn in ink, pencil, marker, colored pencil, or crayon on an 8.5 by 11-inch white paper. There is a 2020 No Has poster contest entry form, which also must be taped to each entry and submitted by a teacher on behalf of the student. For more information and for that form, search 2020 No Has poster online. That is all for this week of the news. Look forward to more as Oxford schools barrel through January and start the new year off on the right foot with events like an OMS theater performance next week and more as the month goes on. Thank you for tuning in. I've been River Tuck for your school news right here on OCTV. Until next time, Oxford.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, doctors often cool down people who have had a cardiac arrest or stroke to reduce brain damage, usually with water-filled blankets. But doing this with a device that circulates cold water through a tube down the throat to the stomach may have some advantages. In a pilot study testing the device in people who have had a cardiac arrest, doctors felt it was more convenient than blankets, and patients reached the target temperature within about 2 hours. While the study didn't directly compare the approach with blankets, 2 hours is relatively fast, says Marvin Wayne at St. Joseph Medical Center in Bellington, Washington. It has also been known for some time that cooling people down a few degrees can help after cardiac arrest or stroke. It was thought that cooling to 32 degrees Celsius was necessary when, in 2013, a trial showed it was just as beneficial to keep people at 36 degrees Celsius. Although this is only about 1 degree below normal body temperature, people who have had brain injuries sometimes have a fever, so the cooling avoids this overheating. You have to cool to achieve normal body temperature, says John Andrzejowski at Sheffield Teaching Hospital in the UK, who wasn't involved in the study. The internal cooling device made by US firm Attune Medical was used on 52 people in the new study, aiming for 32 degrees Celsius or 36 degrees Celsius, depending on their doctor's preference. In 30 people, the target temperature was reached using the device alone. In the rest, their doctors felt they needed to add blankets as they weren't cooling fast enough. But if the new approach helps doctors avoid blankets at least sometimes, that is an advantage, says Wayne. Blankets get in the way and cover people up. A patient becomes somewhat invisible. And Rajowski says a larger randomized trial is needed to check if the device doesn't challenge or damage the lining of the esophagus on its way down to the stomach. If it does work and it's not too expensive, it sounds promising. Keep up the good work. In our next story, artificial intelligence is learning to decipher damaged ancient Greek engravings. The AI seems to be better than humans at filling in missing words, but may be most useful as a collaborative tool where researchers use it to narrow down the options. There are thousands of ancient inscriptions we already know about, with dozens more discovered every year. Unfortunately, many have become eroded or damaged over the centuries, resulting in segments of text being lost. Figuring out what the gaps could be is a difficult task involving looking at the rest of the inscription and other similar text. Yannis Asiel at DeepMind and his colleagues trained a neural network, a type of AI algorithm, to guess missing words or characters from Greek inscriptions on surfaces including stone, ceramic, and metal that were between 1,500 and 2,600 years old. The AI, called Pythia, learned to recognize patterns in 35,000 relics containing more than 3 million words. The patterns it picks up on include the context in which different words appear, the grammar, and also the shape and layout of the inscriptions. Given an inscription with missing information, Pythia provides 20 different suggestions that could plug the gap, with the idea that someone could then select the best one using their own judgment and subject knowledge. It's all about how we can help the experts, says SEL. To test the system, the team hid 9 letters of a Greek personal name from Pythia. It managed to fill in the blanks. In a head-to-head test where AI attempted to fill in the gaps in 2,949 damaged inscriptions, human experts made 30% more mistakes than the AI. Whereas the experts took 2 hours to get through 50 inscriptions, Pythia gave its guesses for more than the entire cohort in seconds. This shows the potential of AI-assisted restoration, says Thea Summershield at the University of Oxford, who was part of the team. The reward is huge because it tells us about almost every aspect of the religion, social, and economic life of the ancient world, she says. Philippa Steele at the University of Cambridge agrees that Pythia could assist restoration efforts, although humans would still be needed to put the pieces together by eye and then decipher them before this could happen. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
What's happening, Wildcat fans? Cody right back here for this week's sports report. I hope everyone had a good holiday and is just about ready to get back into this winter sports season. We don't have much to go over this week that's new. Our athletes are still on break, but we are going to go over what we have coming up as we roll on into the new year. On the 7th, both boys and girls basketball teams will be ramping things back up. The boys, now 2-1 since their recent loss to Lake Orion, will now hit the road and take on Rochester. The girls, on the other hand, will be taking on Troy Athens that same night. However, that will be here at home. We'll be sure to cover that. You guys be sure to come on out and show your support. Also, the Oxford and Avondale United hockey teams will be picking things back up. That is on the 9th at the Detroit Skate Club. That will be taking on Bloomfield Hills. These boys were playing great when we last saw them, so I would expect nothing less. And lastly, but not least, our wrestling team will be competing on the road in Imlay City. We have a lot of diehard wrestling fans here in Oxford, and it's no surprise if you look at our past seasons. So head on out and show your support on the 4th. That's once again at Imlay City. Anyhow, that is all for this week's sports report. For any more info on these events and more, go to oxfordathletics.org. There's plenty of game breakdowns, statistics, and more all right there for you to check out. Once again, that is oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out at occtv.org. All of our coverage of these events and more can be found on our YouTube page, which you can access through the website. Once again, that is occtv.org. Not much this week, I know, but we will have plenty next week, and this winter season is going to be a good one. That's all. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you to tune in next time. But until then, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats!
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, Ford Motor Company said on December 30th that reservations were full for the high-end Mustang Mach-E First Edition electric crossover vehicle. The number 2 U.S. automaker unveiled the electric Mustang on November 17th and began taking reservations with a refundable deposit of $500. There will be 4 other versions of the Mach-E in addition to the First Edition. Ford did not provide any details on how many reservations it took for the First Edition, which will be priced at about $60,000, but has said global production in the first 12 months for all versions of the Mach-E is limited to 50,000 vehicles. The Mach-E has become a high-profile test for restructuring at Ford that has been marred by profit warnings, costly quality problems, and the troubled launch this year of another important vehicle, the Ford Explorer SUV. The Mach-E was unveiled in Los Angeles in November. It will be built in Mexico and the first of more than a dozen all-electric vehicles Ford plans to launch by 2022 with an investment of $11.5 billion. The Mach-E's design was inspired by the classic 1960 Mustang sports car and is meant to challenge electric car maker Tesla. More than 80% of U.S. customers are reserving Mach-E with an extended battery range, while 55% opted for the all-wheel drive vehicle. More than 25% of the reservations are from California, and nearly 30% of U.S. customers choosing Mach-E GT, the company said. Over at Porsche, Porsche's top-selling vehicle, the Macan compact crossover, is receiving a sporty makeover that includes a powerful engine, performance-oriented chassis, and updated interior. The 2020 Macan GTS arrives in U.S. dealerships next summer and starts at over $72,000, including shipping. The Macan is Porsche's most popular model in the U.S., with sales of almost 21,000 in the first 11 months of the year. The Macan GTS is powered by a 2.9-liter twin-turbo V6 engine that delivers 375 horsepower, an increase of over 15 horsepower compared with the outgoing model. The crossover boasts a top speed of 162 miles per hour and is capable of a 0 to 60 sprint in 4.7 seconds. The optional Sport Chrono package drops the acceleration time to 4.5 seconds. The Macan GTS, which stands for Gran Turismo Sport, is sporty in performance and looks. Adaptive air suspension standard on the Macan GTS can lower the chassis by 10 millimeters. Standard 20-inch RS Spyder design wheels and large cast iron brakes deliver sports car agility and responsiveness in a crossover package. The Porsche surface-coated brake, available as an option, uses a tungsten carbide coating, a material Porsche says is 10 times harder than the gray cast iron typically used in brake rotors. The coating increases friction and improves stopping distance and reduces brake dust by up to 90%. Porsche surface-coated brake technology is highly corrosion resistant and lasts 30% longer than gray cast iron, Porsche said. The Macan GTS also carries the sportier styling. The front fascia is characterized by black painted elements, a distinguishing feature of all Porsche GTS models. The LED headlights and 3D rear lights with LED light bar are also darkened. The rear end receives black accents, including a diffuser and the tailpipes of the standard Sport exhaust system. And on the recall front, Subaru of America has issued 2 U.S. recalls for over 671,000 Subaru Impreza vehicles over loss of power issues. In one recall, which includes 2005, 2017 to 2019 Impreza vehicles, the positive crankcase ventilation valve and oil flow control device could separate and allow engine oil to enter the combustion chamber, NHTSA document said. With continued driving in this condition, components of the valve may enter the engine, causing a loss of power. Drivers may notice a visible change in the appearance or amount of tailpipe exhaust, the document said. The document said over 41,000 of the vehicles affected are Impreza 4-door vehicles and over 80,000 are Impreza station wagons. Affected vehicles are equipped with an aluminum valve case with an insufficiently assigned press force value, NHTSA document said. Subaru also issued a recall for over 466,000 2017 to 2020 vehicles that may have improperly programmed engine control modules. Under certain conditions, the ignition could stay energized longer than designed after the engine is turned off, NHTSA document said. If energized for too long, the ignition coil's internal temperature may increase, causing a short circuit and blown fuse. A short circuit, while the vehicle is in motion, may cause loss of power without the ability to immediately restart the engines, the document said. Subaru did not immediately respond to requests for comments on whether there had been accidents or injuries related to either of the recalls. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways.